Welcome back to the BSD YouTube post-game show. What are we doing, guys? What are we doing? I'm your host, as always, Patrick Kerbler. And Penn State just lost to a winless UCLA team. First time that a CBS threw something up. I think the first time an 0-4 team has been a top 10 ranked team since 1985, I think was the year. So we made history today. That's what we do. 99% of programs would love to make history the way that we do. Tim, I'll start with you. You're in the bathroom.
Yes, I am doing this from my bathroom because that performance was shit. And this is where shit belongs. I do have to give credit, though, to John Johnston at Coronation, the Nebraska SB Nation site. He did this a few years ago after an embarrassing loss for the Huskers. So, John, if you're watching this in the off chance, thanks for the inspiration, brother. But yeah, I don't know. I'm running out of words right now, but I'm wondering how big is that tarmac at the State College Airport? Because I think that would be as good of a time as any to give James Franklin a good tarmacking like Lane Kiffin got all those years ago at USC. This is a game where UCLA, like I said, winless. Not only had their head coach been fired, they had fired their offensive and defensive coordinator. And this is a team that was in disarray, despite having a talent like Nico Iamaleava at quarterback. This is a team that was in disarray. And, you had told me Penn State was going to put up over 30 points on the Bruins. I would have thought they'd come close to covering a 24.5-point spread. But what I didn't have on my bingo card was Jim Knowles, the $3 million defensive coordinator, completely shitting the fucking bed and allowing this fucking surfer boy at offensive coordinator, turns out it's Rick Neuheisel's son, allows him to just guy who probably never called a play in his freaking life until this week, to just dice him up. I mean, 27 fucking points and a half. Like, what the fuck are we doing? 22 points in a game to UC fucking LA. What the fuck?
Hey, co-sign on all that. Jarrett, what is, obviously Tim is, upset. I started the screaming. What do we do, Jarrett? What do we do? How do we even react to this? Like, I truly have never been, like, the COVID season, maybe like a little bit is the only comparable thing I can think of, but I just cannot believe that just happened. That they lost to UCLA. Like, how do we react?
Yeah, there's no precedent for this. So that's why we don't know how to react. I've never seen a Penn State team do so little with so much. And just the fact that we go from our defense just looking like one of the best in the nation, just flying the ball, just out physical, just being the most physical team out there or unit out there week to week. Look at that, the fantastic performance against Oregon, a very just limiting a very explosive Oregon offense. And then today they just failed to show up. They weren't tackling, they weren't aggressive to the ball. The game planning I do not understand at all. It was almost like they were prepared to face a drop back quarterback that doesn't really move around too much. Just failing to put a spy on Nico, just kind of letting him run free all over him. Just failures all around, from just players failing to execute, showing a lack of effort, and just some just absolute. I'm sure we'll get deep into this, but just some abysmal coaching decisions too throughout the day.
I do want to take
not to interrupt you, Phil. I just wanted to address Hakeem the Dreams comment. Shut
Hold
up,
on, Tim. Can we just wait a second? I just want to talk. We'll talk about Franklin and what his job should be. I just want to, if we can just take like 5 minutes to kind of talk about the minutia of the game, if we really want to do that. I mean, again, I don't freaking cares. You know what I mean?
Whatever you guys want to do. If you want to talk minutia, sure, we can talk minutia.
Yeah, let's. We're at 4 minutes and 40 seconds. Let's at least just take like 5-6 minutes, and then we'll talk big picture with Franklin. I mean, I don't freaking know, man. This sucks. Like, this sucks. I have never been stunned in my life And we'll talk about Franklin. We'll talk about everything. I for myself, feel like I owe an apology to Penn State fans and the people that watch this show and read BSD, because I feel like I am, part of the ensemble of people who have pushed Penn State, this is the year we got everyone back. I feel like such an idiot, dude. Such an idiot that I was a part of this. And there's one thing last weekend to lose to Oregon and to be frustrated, right, with how we lost. And man, Penn State could have played better. And people have talked about, letdowns and stuff like that. Brother, I don't think letdown even begins to say what this is. This isn't a letdown. This is a full-on pathetic quitting, not even from the players, man. Not even from the players, from the coaches. James Franklin failed this team against UCLA. Jim Knowles with his $3.4 million. And we should have known, Ohio State fans always, right? Everything always works out for Ohio State. Ohio State fans, we should have known as soon as we take Jim Knowles, this wasn't going to work out for us. It never works out. That's, as Jarrett, you were saying, that was the game plan of not having a spy and then never adjusting until the very end when you decide to have Denai Denison do the Abdul Carter. Denai Denison's, he's a good player. Didn't play very well today, but he's a good player. But in no situation should we have a 270-pound defensive end being the spy at that point.
And you know what? Instead of I know we kind of want to go through the game a little bit, but just jumping off of that point, when they finally did put a spy on Nico towards the end on the Nico's last touchdown run, DDS goes back to do just that, but it took him so long to get over to the boundary that it was too late for him to do anything. So all you did was just give up your best pass rusher on that play.
Yeah, I guess we don't really have to talk too much about the game. I just wanted to say, defense was absolutely horrendous today, completely unacceptable from game plan to execution to whatever it might be. I mean, Denai Denison, learn a spin move, learn a swim move inside, go inside one time. Everything was just straight up. And, as a defensive end, that you don't have a spy back there. At some point, adjust and at least just try to contain Nico and just never did.
Yeah. And even just, it wasn't even just Nico just gashing him. When they'd run between the tackles, they were getting a push off the ball and just out physicaling the front of the line. I mean, they were just running right between the tackles and not necessarily just plowing people over, but gaining 4 or 5 good yards and just kind of keeping drives going that way. So just really a just incredibly disappointing effort from them.
Yeah. Only other things I want to say offensively, and if anyone wants to chime in, certainly go ahead. Katron Allen, 8 carries to Nicholas Singleton's 11 carries. Why are we still doing this?
Makes no sense. It's they're not even watching games.
Come on.
A casual fan could watch that game and see that Katron's clearly a better running back right now.
It just and that's
and this is after 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, and all of this, I truly feel bad for Drew Aller and Nick Singleton and Katron Allen denied us on. Those guys all should have left. The fact that this will be what they were remembered for at Penn State when the last 3 years, okay. Right, it wasn't fantastic. It wasn't oh my God, won Big Ten titles and stuff like that. But the fact that we have just completely wasted all of this, and now this is the final act for them, that just sucks, dude. It absolutely sucks. So first and foremost, just the fact that in true fashion, Singleton still gets more carries than Katron. The only other thing I want to say, Drew once again was not right. It wasn't his A+ game at all, but I thought that he was overall pretty good. And the fact that you're down 42-35 to UCLA and you have a 4th and 2 or 4th and 3 or whatever it is, and you're still afraid to let him throw the ball on 4th and 2. Guys,
your 30 or starting quarterback.
Guys, the big picture has already been lost. The big picture has already been lost. Even if you go and you win this game, this is still a net negative among negatives. At the very least, let Drew stand back there and throw it and see if he has or see if he doesn't. To do the jet sweep with Trevor Pinion, which I get, okay, yes, it worked last week against Oregon in overtime. It's just, here we go. Not to compare Aller to Trace at all, but it's the same thing in 2018 where it's why on a 4th down do you want to just essentially take the ball. I mean, I know not technically take the ball out of, but do a play like that. Like, at least be like, Drew, go win the game for us with a throw. And they still decided to turtle up and run that play. And that's just, it's the cherry on top of the poop sundae. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, do we have anything else like game wise to talk about, or do we just want to talk about James Franklin and what this is program moving forward?
I guess it kind of like it kind of involves coaching, but I think we should definitely at least bring up the sequence before halftime. When Penn State just played with they're down 24-7, have a chance to score for halftime, and they just show absolutely zero urgency. They kind of manage the situation like when you're up by 2 touchdowns, you're up by 2 scores, and you think, okay, we'll just bleed some clock and we'll try to kick a long field goal here. We don't necessarily need to be aggressive and risk a turnover. Yeah. Except they were down by 17 and they weren't even in field goal range. So it's just one of the and the announcers were right on it. Just Danielson was like beside himself, couldn't even believe what he was seeing. Like all of us were. I was just one of the baffling sequences I've ever seen in a football game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just talking about like playing all the hits, like getting the James Franklin time management 101 right there, like just perfect. I even joked like during the game when it was 17-7 in the second quarter, I was like, if this was reverse score right now, excuse me, like if Penn State was up 17-7, I would have been like upset with Penn State. Like, what are we doing, guys? And the fact that they just, I truly am at a loss for words because. What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, this is just, it's as rock bottom as it gets.
One more thing before we get on to Franklin. Just what were your thoughts when Penn State suddenly made it 27-21? They get a stop, they score a touchdown, then they get another stop, and defense gets a couple like sacks, tackles for loss, and then block a punt, take it for a score. And that's like midway for the third quarter. I don't know about you guys, but suddenly I'm thinking, okay, maybe they're actually going to take over this game now. But then
you woke up, yeah.
And that's the thing. I saw, a lot of people and just talking to Penn State friends, like when they were down 27-7, right? A lot of like, I hope they lose, that type of stuff. I never wanted them to lose. Like, I'm sorry, I just don't like have that. It's fine. Like, listen. There's no fan shaming here right now. If you watch that game and at some point you want them to lose, by all means, I just don't have that like innate feeling in me of like, I still, even at the end, wanted them to win. And yeah, when it was 27-21, I was like, okay, you know what? Here we go off. We'll win this, 45-35 or something. And whatever, a win's a win. I mean, everything kind of.
Yeah, it's like you can forgive a really atrocious half. It was just an unbelievably bad half, but you could forgive it because it kind of seemed like it was going that direction at that point.
And even forgive, not forgive, right? Like I still would rather come on here and say all this with a win, and just this is a good opportunity, I guess, for us to dive into Franklin, because I guess that's part of like my struggle here now. It's like I don't know what the next step is right? Like everyone, I don't know how I want to say this and be as diplomatic as possible, because I don't want to just be like the fire Franklin type thing as like, everyone does after every loss, but this loss is clearly different. But like this, it feels different and it is different and it should be unacceptable. But like, what needs to happen for him to actually, for this to be the end, for him to get fired, for him to leave, whatever it might be? Like, right, we saw Mike Norvell go 2-10 at Florida State last year, and he still got more time. So, like, what really, like, realistically, what do we think the chances are that Penn State moves on from Franklin, or Franklin moves on from Penn State after this year?
Well, I think the chances of that just shot up infinity fold after a loss like this. I mean, yes, I know there is the buyout, $48 million, I believe is what it is now. But then you also consider Penn State's currently undergoing some major renovations to Beaver Stadium, which were in large part because, the football teams, and also Pat Kraft, the athletic director, raising the money for this on, just it's anticipation of, hey, this team is close to turning the corner, close to playing for maybe winning that national title. And then you go and, drop a game like this and just set any progress you had like backwards like this. And, those big money donors who are giving to the team, giving to the stadium, giving to NIL to keep guys like Drew Aller, Nick Singleton, and Katron Allen, Denai Dennis Sutton, all those guys for another year instead of them going off to the NFL. I mean, those people are going to want, could start closing up their pocketbooks if over something like this. And, I wouldn't be surprised if after today they're all trying to pull enough money together to potentially buy Franklin out if the rest of this season goes the way that we think it's probably going to go, which is missing out on the playoffs. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think the playoffs are done for. 2 losses with
UCLA being I mean, so what I'm saying is that I think
their only way in is
I really
was
think
to say their only way in is the table. Oh no, I was going to say just the playoffs talk. The only way in is if they run the table, and I don't think there's any.
Right? No, they're not. No, that's what I'm saying. Is like missing the playoff.
They're going to be able to do that.
No, missing the playoff is a disaster. I mean, there's no sugarcoating it. Even if it didn't include a loss to UCLA, just missing the playoff in general would have been a disaster coming into the season, and that's coming to fruition now. So, I mean, I think this is the beginning of the end of the James Franklin era. Now, when that end comes, I don't know exactly, but
I think that's part of the problem, though. I think that's part of the problem is not knowing when the end of the era is, just because, like you said, Tim, like people, they're doing these Beaver Stadium renovations. That's where a lot of the money's going. NIL is such a big thing now, and that is like the actual concern with like, do you like, right? The idea of Lincoln Riley has had struggles at USC. What did they do? They have poured money into NIL. That's why they've been able to recruit the way they have. Even same thing with Ryan Day, right? Ryan Day, like losing to Michigan over and over again. What did they do? They pushed money into NIL to win the national championship last year, still lose to Michigan. I don't like, this was okay, James, we're not like absolutely like everyone's not in love with you right now, but we're still going to put some, extra NIL money, so we can keep Singleton and Katron and Denai and Zane Durant and Drew Aller. And we're going to go get some, wide receivers and Amari Campbell and all this, that, and the other thing. And you come out and what's best case 8-4, 7-5. Like, I don't even I truly have no idea even what best case for the rest of the season is. And that's where my concern is that even say we go 5-7, like, is that enough for them to be able to pull the plug on Franklin this offseason? Because it feels like we're simply just taking on water and we're never going to be able to fix the ship. So it's like, do you let the ship go completely down, or do you try to get out early? Just because I don't think that there's anyone coming in to be like, let's put more NIL into this. If anything, it's going to be people pulling out, and that obviously hurts Penn State and just prolongs what we are seeing. So again, I just think the question, I just don't know, like on a scale of 1 to 10, what do we think the chances are that this is James Franklin's last year at Penn State? I think prior to this, I would have said like a 1. I don't know if it greatly increases, like 2, maybe 3. And that is like, that's the part that like kills me right now.
I put it at a 4 or 5. Maybe.
So you think there's a 50% chance?
I think so. It depends, I guess, on how they finish out the season. Well, frankly, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like this loss, I think it doesn't matter how they finish out the season. Because I'm just going to, just say it. They're not beating Ohio State. I mean, I could definitely see a couple more losses at least besides that. So, I mean, we say 7-5, 8-4 if I want to be generous. I mean, that's when you came in with all the hype, with all the money that was put in to keep these players, and you do this, and there's already, and don't forget, there's already some. It's not like the entire fan base was in love with Franklin coming into the season to begin with, but they were like, okay, well, we got all these guys back. He's got, Kolonicki's back as offensive coordinator. He went out and hired Jim Knowles. I'm like, okay, maybe we got a shot here. At the very least, this should be a playoff team. But So that's
Jared,
not now. So
Jared, where are you at with James at this point?
It's kind of hard to wrap your head around because I mean I think up until very recently, maybe today, you were thinking worst case scenario is 10-2. So it's just kind of hard to believe we're even at this point. I don't know if it's very high just because of the whole buyout issue and $48 million, considering all the changes coming in college football and how, that money needs to be used for so many different things compared to what the system was before.
Yeah.
I'm not terribly, confident there's going to be a coaching change, honestly, mainly because of that. And you just see less teams parting with their coaches and kind of giving them a lot more opportunities than you did previously. I think starting last off season. So I just think that's such of an issue, just coming up with that giant paycheck just to part ways and look at a Kurt Signetti or I don't know, Manny Diaz or just someone just saying, okay, well, because it's not like there's a whole bunch of coaches floating out there that have won national titles that we can just go out and pluck someone. So
shoot, I take Kurt Signetti.
Yeah. I'm not saying that's a bad move or anything.
He's
I'm
a
just saying,
Pennsylvania guy too.
You're just taking someone who has succeeded over 1.5 seasons, and there's always those guys who look great at a school like that, where you say, okay, well, we'll take them from there and then with our resources, they'll just be winning national titles left and right, and that doesn't happen. So I don't know. I just think it's something we need to wrap our head around and just kind of see how the dust settles and but I will say though, not only is it the fact that we brought back all these players. I remember seeing something right before the season started where they were showing the last 2 national titles, Michigan, then Ohio State, and how Penn State followed the same roadmap that they had. And I believe the numbers were Ohio State had Michigan, the year they won the national title, they had 12 returning all Big Ten players. Last year, Ohio State had 13, went on to win the national title. Penn State had 14. So not only they're showing the same model that they were that was successful, those two programs, they technically had even more talent coming back. But not only that, if you look at it, this was the year to do that.
James's words at Big Ten Media Day was, "This is the most complete team he's had and most complete program." Mm-hmm. And he said that's coaching staff, that's alignment, the good old freaking alignment with Neely Pendapudi and Pat Kraft. Everything right from the top down, from the kicker to the quarterback to the athletic director, to the president. Yeah. James's words, and look at what. And this look at this.
Yeah, this is the perfect year to do it, too, because all the contenders had so much to replace. I mean, Ohio State was replacing so much personnel, coaching and player-wise. Oregon was replacing so many people. There's not really – I don't think there's a great team in the SEC this year. There's a lot of very good teams. We'll see if anyone really rises to the top, but it's not like there's anyone's going to be, dominating their way to the national title this year out of that conference. So if you're going to have a year to have the correct alignment, have everything come together, this was absolutely it. And we're getting the just the reverse out of that.
Yeah. I don't know. My mind's just racing. I honestly, right? You're seeing a lot of the anger right now. This is truthfully just it's sad. It really is sad because Penn State football is something that we look forward to. And I say we as fans, the three of us and, everyone listening, which this is, I saw we were up to 130 people at one point, by far the most people. So thank you for listening, I guess.
People love conflict.
Yeah. Subscribe to the channel, blah, 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 whatever. But no, right. This is supposed to be a fun thing. And the fact that it is decidedly not a fun thing for us, that's sad. And it just sucks, dude. It just absolutely sucks. I mean, look at us. We're all over our 30s and we just wasted. I have friends out in the living room, talking, having fun, and they're just going to, carry on with their lives, and I'm sitting here on the internet screaming into my webcam about Neely Pendapudi. Tim is in his bathroom. Jared, you're actually keeping yourself together pretty well. I have to give you credit on that. Um,
I'm a Browns fan, so I've got a lot of practice.
Yeah, I mean,
these types of situations.
Listen, I'm a Sixers fan. The last 7 years have been disappointment. I've never seen something like this. Like I truly haven't. And it's just like, to kind of make a Sixers comparison, and I know this won't land for everyone, back in like the 2000s, like after the 2001 finals trip, it was just like this. It felt like the Sixers were always like the 6th seed, the 7th seed, the 8th seed, missed the playoffs, the 7th seed, missed the playoffs, the 7th seed, and just always lose in the first round. And this is kind of, okay, right prior to this, it was the 10-2 stuff. But now it feels like we are hitting this breaking point of, we know this is the end. Like this is where, right, the championship DVD starts. Like this is where the Fire Franklin DVD starts. It starts with this game. And either we do it this year, or we go into next year and we go 9-3, or we go 7-5, or we go whatever. But we know that we have seen the best of James Franklin at Penn State, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think we're in the twilight of his career now at this point.
Yeah. So why continue on? And maybe we're the idiots for thinking that, this could have been the year, when almost everything else tells us, prior to this, that a coach that is 10 years into his tenure in this era of college football, it's not going to happen then. Like it's not going to happen. So yes, Dan, I mean, it's a good point.
For those of you listening on, podcasts, Dan says Penn State gave me many future hours back in my life this fall. I totally get it, Dan. If I wasn't covering this for BSD and doing the show, I would probably tune it out as well. But which is the burden that we're stuck with. So we will continue to be doing this yet for the rest of the season.
We won't have many hours in December, January, watching Penn State. So,
yeah, I don't have to worry about the Tuesday night.
Don't worry about your holiday plans or interfere with watching a big game for Penn State.
I have a New Year's Eve wedding this year, and was worried about the college football playoff game potentially being on New Year's Eve again. Hey, guess who's available now? Guess who's available? No, I mean, I don't want to sit on here and just continue to say the same things over and over. I'm just sad, and I feel dumb. Like that's the thing. I just feel dumb. Like everything I did this offseason, like making fun of Notre Dame fans and laughing at Ohio State fans, and we are the butt of the joke at the end of the day. And I should have realized that this was how this was all going to play out, because as soon as Penn State has expectations, they have a coach who clearly can't handle them. So, should I read my Penn State coaching hot board that I made last Sunday? And you guys, we can just very quickly just give me a thumbs up, thumbs down.
Let's do it.
Why not? After a game like that, why not?
Kenny Dillingham, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah, sure. I don't know too much about Dillingham, but
Kurt Signetti.
Oh, 2 thumbs up.
Okay. Jeff Brom. Lost to Virginia today at home, though. I will say lost to Virginia today at home. That's a tough one for both Jeff Brom.
Decent for Purdue in the Big Ten West for what that, take that for what you will, but something good.
Lane Kiffin. Again, and to be real clear, real quick, some of these might not be realistic. Like I don't necessarily think Lane Kiffin, Penn State's all that realistic.
I think you get to deal with some off-field stuff, and then also with Lane's teams, they've dropped some really terrible games. So you're just going to have that same lack of consistency there. You're just getting another guy who can't burst through,
But I think they would also win some pretty big games, which has been a problem with
that is true. To his credit, they have won more big games under Kiffin than Penn State has with Franklin. That's true.
I had Brent Key. I don't know if he's the right move. Matt Campbell.
I mean, is he going to leave Georgia Tech anytime soon? I mean, I feel like he feels like he can build something there.
Yeah, I don't fully like. I mean, that's like the same argument people say with Kenny Dillingham, and I don't necessarily think like Dillingham will leave for like the first opportunity. Maybe Penn State isn't that, but I don't think Kenny Dillingham or Brent Key are at their schools within the next 3 years.
I agree. There's got to be a pretty big adjustment or big difference in contracts there.
Matt Campbell, Matt Rule, I think they're both like losers, and yeah, I don't have any interest in doing that. Honestly,
I see someone pitching Matt Rule, and I'm just going to say this again. Matt Rule is Diet James Franklin. Like,
yeah, it's
you
just
think
different.
Franklin's record against top 10 teams is bad. Matt Rule is like 2-23 against top 25 teams. Those 2 wins came when he was at Temple. So he's winless against ranked teams as a Power 4 coach, which covers 6 years worth now from Baylor and Nebraska. So the only reason he would be mentioned is because he's a former Penn State player who played under Joe Paterno. But
only other names, and as far as like assistants go, just because I like what Oregon did, getting Dan Lanning, and to a lesser extent Notre Dame Marcus Freeman. I know that's like a little bit different because he was internal, but I would look seriously at Brian Hartline at Ohio State. Tremendous recruiter, has been the offensive coordinator this year. Like, I just think that there's such a positive to being an assistant at these like elite big time programs. So Brian Hartline, Will Stein at Oregon, even their defense coordinator Tosh Lupoi has been one of the best recruiters dating back to like the 2010 recruiting class. Like, I remember when Penn State was trying to get Keenan Allen, he ended up going to Cal. I'm pretty sure Tosh was his main recruiter at that point. So I wouldn't hate if they go assistant in that case. But this could all just be, let's focus, I guess, on getting Franklin out. And I just, like I said to begin all this, I just don't know how realistic that is, just with the buyout and with everything he's accomplished to this point. Like, the same way Mike Norvell was able to stay another year at Florida State, can Franklin do that here? I don't know. Like, I truthfully don't know. So I guess we'll see. Any final thoughts? Again, I don't.
Yeah, I want to bring up kind of like a minor point from earlier in the game that just kind of showed like the lack of focus this week. But on that onside kick, I mean, it's kind of in a situation like that, it's almost like something like this is where a team would take their shot. But the thing that kind of blew my mind is that is just such a simple coaching thing to make sure the player knows that you don't leave your area until the ball is actually kicked. Just the fact that nobody noticed that and addressed that this far into the season. I mean, that just blew my mind. I mean, I was playing special teams on a 2-8 high school team many years ago, and I was coached on things like that. That is just like very, very minor. Low level things that middle school, high school players learn, and it's like they're not even coached that. Like that player probably wasn't even told once all season to stay in your area and not leave before the ball's kicked.
You know what bad coaching is? Because that's an example of bad coaching. You know what else bad coaching is? When you're down 27-7 and you score a touchdown and your player gets an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty because he celebrates. And when you have Zariah Fisher, Denai Denson, and Zane Durant all jump off sides on 3rd and inches or 4th.
Yeah, that's another great point. Yeah, they drew them off on 2 4th downs.
So I just, and this was a conversation I guess we could have had last week as well. But like, what I really would be curious what these game weeks are like. Like, what was the Oregon game week like? What was like this game week like? Like, I just these last 2 weeks greatly question Penn State's mindset in going into both games. Because last week, right, they come out and just don't feel like
it felt like there was no
yeah, they feel like they don't have this edge, and
it felt like there was.
Sorry, I don't know if you saw the clip, but Kirk Herbstreit and Joey Galloway talked about it. But it's like this idea of like going to these big games at Penn State, they just don't want to like lose it. Like, it's this idea of like keep it close, and then when the 4th quarter comes, we'll make a play and we'll win off that. Obviously, this week is like very much different, but again, the same thing of like, what was the mindset? Was it this stupid want to know this week, blah, blah, blah? Like, did they like fully hash out everything that transpired with the Oregon? Like, were the wounds from Oregon taken care of, or was just ignored? And that's why you then go into this and you lose it the way you did, because you act like, all right, we flushed it. Did you actually flush it? Like, what was the process for flushing? This is stuff that we're never going to know. And in James's defense, they generally, the last 3 years after these big losses, they've come back and won. So it's easy to say after a loss that the process is wrong, but man, again, first time since 1985 that an 0-4 team has been a top 10 ranked team. And well, Penn State will not be top 10 ranked, and they will not be ranked come Sunday. So tough one, guys.
From number 2 and a handful of first place votes up until a week ago to completely unranked. Just what a stunning collapse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have much else. And again, I don't want this just to be a repeating ourselves thing. I think that we have captured the fan response rather well, because that's what we are. Like, yes, we write for a blog and we try not to be incredibly super biased, but I don't think we've ever said that we are like capital J journalists and we're trying to give the perspective of a fan. And this sucks, man. This absolutely freaking sucks. And it brings me no joy to like come on here and have to talk about this. This was supposed to be the year. And instead we're talking about Kenny Dillingham and Jeff Brom and whoever. So I have tickets to next week's game. I'm going to next week's game. So
Have fun with that.
yeah, lucky me. Can't wait to see the boys. I think it's technically homecoming, maybe. I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, I just had a conversation about scrapping plans to go to the Indiana game, so not sure if it's worth the effort and expenses and all that stuff.
Yeah. I don't think it is at this point. Once again, I just want to apologize because I doubt that. I know Franklin has had his press conference at this point. I assume we've gotten the same old from him, but I just want to make sure that I'm going to apologize on his behalf for everything, because it shouldn't be like this, and yet here we are.
And honestly, we shouldn't feel so bad about hyping them up in the season. It's not like we were necessarily being homers, or on paper, everything should have come together. No, I'm not necessarily saying like guaranteed national title, but they should have been one of the very best teams in the nation this year and been right there with anyone.
Franklin, on moving forward, there is going to be a lot. There is going to be a lot there to divide, and we got to tune all that out and stick together. James, I have bad freaking news for you, man. You're about a week. You're a week too late, buddy. You're a week too late. And at this point,
the call's coming from within the house, James.
Yeah, I just this can't believe it. In my defense, if I want to pat myself on the back a little bit, I did say this was a trap game when we did our preview show back in the summer. So maybe I called it. Never wrong, just early. Credit to me. All right, fellas. Final thoughts. Tim, from your bathroom. Final thoughts.
Fire everybody. I'm done.
Jarrett, final thoughts.
No, just a stunning underachievement of a game. Just really could not even fathom that we'd be here. And I know we got a lot to talk about the rest of the way, but it really kind of makes you doubt, looking at the schedule, just how many losses are heading this way. And if the morale of the team doesn't improve, then the losses can start piling up, which is just a stunning just an absolute stunning turn of events, consider what we had going and what we were expecting coming the year.
Yeah, and that's the sad spot that we're in. And I know I mentioned this, but it's now at this point where like what I think is best for Penn State is for Franklin to leave, and the best thing to get him to leave is for us to lose. And the fact that I have to wrap my brain and my heart and my soul around Penn State losing and me kind of needing that and wanting that, like that goes against everything ingrained in my DNA. And I hate that. I absolutely hate that. But this is reality. Like this is absolutely reality. Like worst case scenario is finishing like 8-4. Like worst case is like for us, because it'll be enough for, I guess it will be enough for Franklin. I don't even know. Like that's the thing. I have no idea what to expect from here. I just feel bad, man. I just feel bad. And Ohio State fans, Notre Dame fans, Michigan fans, I know I've seen the comments. You guys are here, you're laughing at us. And to that I say, you deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. We deserve to be laughed at. I deserve to be laughed at. So I have nothing. I have absolutely nothing for this team, for this program at this point. This should be it. This should absolutely be the low point, and I hope that it is. I hope that it is. But we will be here, though. We will be here because we love the podcast, and Yeah, we'll be back next week. Northwestern, big game. We'll see you guys. I'm sorry. What can you do?